Hi, I'm Dr. Archer Crossley. Welcome to Real World Pediatrics. So today I want to talk about mercury and vaccines. Now, does mercury ingestion cause autism? Well, according to Robert Kennedy and Brian Hooker in their book, Vax Unvax, Let the Science Speak, it certainly does. Kennedy and Hooker point to a wide variety of studies that indicate a positive association between mercury and autism. They look at statistics when the hepatitis B vaccine and other vaccines were, quote unquote, laced with thimerosal, a mercury-containing drug, prior to the year 2000. Of course, our government refutes this conclusion. So who are we to believe? As a general pediatrician, I don't want to get into the mumbo jumbo of statistics because that's not what I do. I'd rather jump off a cliff than talk about p-values and odds and hazard ratios. Now, there's a direct correlation between the use of statistics and happiness in life. So let's instead step back from the mumbo jumbo and look at the broader picture. To begin with, there is little to no mercury in most vaccines anymore. The authorities state that there never was any problem, that they removed thimerosal as an antibacterial because of public perception. Apparently, there were other antibacterials that were available. Okay, so what is thimerosal and how much mercury does it contain? Well, like most chemicals in the body, it is comprised of carbon, oxygen, and sulfur. There's also some mercury. In the past, there was about 25 micrograms of mercury in a vaccine dose. Now, this is the same as a 5-ounce can of tuna, more or less. Now, the maximum dose of mercury consumption recommended by the EPA for the general population is 0.1 micrograms per kilogram of body weight per day. But this was an overestimate that was padded for safety reasons. Now, researchers have looked at the potential effects of thimerosal poisoning many different ways. Now, I'm going to quote from one paper entitled Immunization Safety Review, blah, 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 that was put out by the Institute of Medicine. Now, the authors state, the committee has found inadequate evidence to accept or reject a causal relationship between thimerosal-containing vaccines and neurodevelopmental disorders. That means autism. Also includes ADHD. Although the available evidence is indirect and incomplete and the relationship is not established, it is biologically plausible. Because thimerosal was used in millions of vaccine doses over several decades, it is important that additional research be done to understand the nature of the risk, if any, from this exposure to thimerosal. Now, this sounds reasonable and rational to me, and in direct contradiction to how Kennedy and Hooker portray the establishment in Big Pharma. What the authors of the Institute of Medicine Immunization Safety Review Committee state is exactly what you expect from a scientist, not dogmatic statements of certainty, but instead rational skepticism. To me, their statements seem reasonable. This stands in contrast to the language of Hooker and Kennedy, who reveal their rabid ferocity when they use emotionally charged words like laced and trumped up in their chapter on mercury and vaccines. Kennedy and Hooker clearly believe in a conspiracy between the researchers, Big Pharma, and the government. Now, I think it's okay to believe in conspiracy if there really is one, but you have to back it up with hard data. And what Kennedy and Hooker point out are associations. Where they get tripped up is that they attribute autism and other maladies to everything as it pertains to vaccines, whether it be aluminum, mercury, early administration of vaccines, too many vaccines given at the same time, or whatever. Well, which is it? Maybe it's baby formula, or maybe any other number of coexisting variables. We could go on all day developing associations. Now, I'm not joking when I mention baby formula. There are some studies which indicate a possible association between autism and formula feeding, particularly soy milks. But does that mean it exists? No. Association is not the same as causation. Kennedy and Hooker state that babies and infants in the past received almost 200 micrograms of mercury by the first 6 months of vaccine administration. Now, this is true, but it is also important to note that autism is not felt to be an inflammatory event that occurs after birth. There is no evidence for this. Plus, with the exception of a few vaccines, vaccines no longer contain mercury. Mercury is found in multi-dose influenza vaccine vials and a few other selected vaccines. All the vaccines given to children under the age of 6 years have mercury-free preservatives. So why did Kennedy and Hooker even bring mercury into the equation? To indict Big Pharma, past and present, to contribute to your mistrust of vaccines. Well, I understand those of you who fear the government. Governments can do bad things, and they are not always good at admitting mistakes. There are a lot of stupid people in government who don't trust the truth. Our recent experience with COVID-19 didn't help things, but we should try to examine issues one at a time. The government does do good things also, and this may be a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Thank you.